So my favorite area was Tifton, and it was that small town. Kip Moore, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a country singer. He's from Tifton, and actually worked a stage crew over the summer and met him and talked about Tifton. But it's a small town, very divided when it comes to the ethnic groups. But it was my favorite, and we really liked going on the other side of town where we played basketball, and we would meet all kinds of people, and everybody would talk to us because everybody had that faith in Christ, and they were very receiving to a message. But I don't think that a lot of people understood the message of the restoration. So we were really praying to find someone who could, receive the gospel, that we could teach, that we could baptize. And we're walking through this area, and usually we don't go into people's backyards. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things. If someone walked into my backyard, I'd probably knock them out. It's like, so we were trying not to go into people's backyards, but we were walking by this area, and I felt like I seen this little old lady in her backyard, and I felt something say, "Hey, go talk to that lady." And I kind of almost ignored it, no, she's not gonna accept the church. Just keep going. So my own, stupidity, but the Lord said, "No. Go talk to this lady." So we go into this backyard and talk to this lady, and she's smoking a cigarette. She's, probably close to her 70s. And her name was Miss Joyce. And Miss Joyce, if you see this, love you. But she was in her backyard, and it was almost like a little farm in the ghetto. I mean, it was a really cool place. But she allowed us to sit down outside and talk with her. Her husband didn't really have a desire to talk to us, but we talked to her, and we explained the restoration, and she was getting it, and she understood it, and she invited us back. And it was not an easy process or a conversion for her. In fact, I didn't baptize her because she had a problem with smoking. And she'd smoked since she was 14 years old, and she's in her 70s. And in fact, we would come to teach her, and sometimes, one time I remember her flipping over a bowl because she wasn't supposed to not be smoking. And she flipped over this bowl, and, I waited. I said, "Hey, Miss Joyce, can you get us a glass of water?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll get you a glass of water." So she left, and I flipped over a bowl, and there's her cigarettes, and I put them in my top pocket so that when she walked back, we busted her, and had her cigarettes in my pocket, which is kind of weird. But she had the desire, but the hard thing was she couldn't quit smoking. We had crazy lessons where the Spirit was so strong. She was coming to church. In fact, one Sunday, it was one of the coolest things. We were in our gospel principles class, and they asked if anybody could play the piano because they didn't have someone to play the piano. And Miss Joyce had played the piano her whole life, so she's like, "I'll play." And if you could imagine this little old black lady in gospel principles singing as country and as gospel as it gets, I can't even remember the song, but some hymn, and she just jazzed it up. And I wanted to stand up and just clap because I felt so good about her being there. And, just the excitement she brought, to that class. But the toughest thing is she couldn't quit smoking. She struggled with it her whole life. Can you imagine smoking for that many years and then someone asking you to quit, But she knew it was a requirement to get baptized. And so it was right before I was getting transferred. We worked on Miss Joyce for, 3-4 months trying to get her to this point where we could baptize her. She wanted to be baptized, but she had this struggle with smoking. And so we offered to give her a blessing, and we gave her a blessing. And the next day she said she woke up and something felt different, and she didn't know what it was. And she went about her daily stuff, made breakfast, started going about her house, and she just kept thinking, what's different? Until, later on in the day, she realized that she had no desire to smoke a cigarette. She didn't smoke, And the whole day she didn't smoke. And since that day, she has never smoked another cigarette. I mean, we put her on, well, we got missionary plans to like help people quit smoking that, focus on like habits and, trying to get them to change things so that it kind of helps them slowly stop quitting. We used the power of the priesthood, and she exercised her faith, and she quit from that day and has never smoked another cigarette. Fortunately, I got transferred like a week later and didn't get to see her baptized. And that, for me, it would have been cool to see, you know what I mean? But it didn't matter to me because I loved her and I still love her, and seeing her being able to be baptized, even though I wasn't there, is been one of my greatest joys in the mission, just seeing where she came from. And her husband went from not liking us to, giving us a bag of boiled peanuts every time we went. And he never joined the church, but he came to the baptism, and he became a lot more friendly with us and supported her in it. And it was just a cool story there,